In this part of our How to Use Dubsado course, I'm going to teach you how to make proposals in Dubsado. This part is pretty magical, so I'm very excited. If you're just joining us, make sure you start at the beginning with all the setup and everything that will get you to this point, because there's a little pre-work you have to do to make your proposals work correctly. And I also have a 30% code that you can use, designed by Laney, or the link in the description of this video if you're interested in signing up with Dubsado to get you 30% off your first month or a year with them. There's actually 3 ways to do proposals in Dubsado. One of them is called public proposals, which is a little more advanced. I'm going to show you that in its own video later. The other 2 I'll show you here. And the first is what I typically do for very customized clients. So if I need to really build out some kind of custom invoice, it feels a little more luxurious. This is what I'm going to do for a lot of my high-end clients. What I'm going to do is build out the invoice, which we did in the previous video, and then pull that into a proposal. Then the third option is going to be making a proposal that they can actually customize and build out the invoice themselves. So this is a little bit more of a DIY option on their part, but it's really cool because it saves a lot of work on your end. And if you have really set options with specific add-ons and things, it's a great option and will be really easy for your clients to do. So we already have this invoice built out. So let's pretend this is what we built out for this client. We have this full invoice at $2,400. Sorry, that's a little behind my head there. So I'm going to use my live account to show you what this proposal will look like. Proposals is the 4th type of form that we've talked about. And again, you can find it in templates, forms. Proposals is right over here. And proposals have a couple of settings options that you'll need to pay attention to. So let's look at our custom invitation proposal, which is the one that we use most often. Now, this proposal looks really pretty simple on the surface. We basically have the logo. We're so excited to work with you. A few frequently asked questions with a couple pictures here. And then this kind of confusing box, which I'll explain in a second. And then we have what's next, XOXO Laney, a picture, and then some of our next steps and our little footer down here. I highly recommend having some things about like next steps, what's coming next, some FAQs, those types of things on your proposal, because they're just going to help with your booking ratio. And you can see we've built this out with containers, we've got text boxes, we've got images, all of those things that you can use in all the other types of forms we've already talked about. So what is this box right here? This one is just a text box, and it says proposal, name, wedding/due date, and I've put in some smart fields here. So just as a reminder, smart fields are things that are going to pull information for each project. So it's not going to come up and say, bracket, bracket, client name. It's going to actually pull in the client's name from the actual project. And there are lots of different options you can use for smart fields. You even can create custom ones, which I have a different video on. So project variables, you can do like the title, the start, the end date, the location, some of these first year goals and priorities, an ideal client. Those are some of the custom ones that I've set up. An invoice variable, you can do a lot of stuff with the invoice. The client ones are the ones we use here. So we have our name, we have the wedding date, which is actually just the job start date. So there's a few things here that'll just make it feel really customized to them. And then this tiny little box, the smallest box on here, is where the actual magic of this proposal lies. So I've used a few smart fields here. This one is just job invoice items. So we're going to go to smart field, we're going to go into invoice, and we're going to choose one of these invoice item names, amounts, descriptions, item names, etc. And then I just wrote in the word total, and we'll again go into the smart field for the invoice, and we'll put the invoice total down here at the bottom. So let me show you what that does when we actually bring it into a job. All right, so I have this sample job that I use for occasional random invoices I have to send. So this one has some extras, a priority ship, and a gratuity that was left by the client that automatically adds to the invoice if they decide to leave it. So I have this invoice created. It can have whatever you want on it. And when I go into the form section, I'll add that custom invitation proposal that we were just working on. As you can see, it pulls all the things that are set in stone, all those pictures, frequently asked questions, etc. And then for the job stuff, this one doesn't have a job name, so it didn't pull anything, and it has the job date as August 5th, 2023, and it has all of those invoice items. So we have extras, we have the pricing and the subtotal, we have our total of $36.30. And so it looks like I put all of this custom information onto this proposal for them with all this other nice stuff too. And I could even expand this further to include their venue name, their planner, just like notes, all kinds of things that I want to do that it could pull custom for each job using those smart fields. But this is going to show up as a proposal. So when I add this in here, if I go to send it to the client, what it's going to look like is we'll have the proposal that we just created. We'll have the contract that we already created with all the information that they need to sign off on, and then the invoice that we created exactly with whichever payment plan we applied to the invoice. And I'm on business owner mode, but if I was the customer, there would be an option right here saying to pay this, and it would automatically input whatever amount was due based on the payment plan. So let me go back into that form and just show you again exactly what that looks like in order to get it to pull in this particular invoice. Go to templates, forms. We'll look at our custom invitation proposal. And this is all it takes to include all of that information. So if what I wanted to do was add another one, I would just add a text box in here. And then for all of this text, I can actually delete this text. Smart field, invoice. We'll do invoice items, package item names. We'll click total. And then we'll do invoice total. Sometimes I like to move this over to the right side. And that is literally like all it takes to build that out. It's super simple. And then every time you build an invoice, if you add this proposal, it will automatically pull whatever is on this invoice into this proposal. Now I mentioned with proposals, we'll have a few different form settings. So when you go into this form settings gear over here, you want to select include contract. That's something that only proposals can do. No other form can do that. And then you can use your drop down to select which contract of all the ones you have on here you want to automatically include. So when someone fills out this proposal, which of the contracts are they going to see on that second tab? You can also allow them or not allow them to select multiple packages. So if you only have 3 different packages, for instance, you're a photographer and you have A, B, or C, then they'll be able to select just one of those if you turn this off, or you can turn it on so they can select multiple. Something to keep in mind here is that this is a great place to put in add-on options, which I'll show you when I talk about the other type of proposal. So oftentimes I like to leave this on so that they are able to select maybe a main package and then a couple different add-ons. Then you can also do include the invoice, and so that's going to automatically build out the invoice that they can pay based on either the proposal you've set up or the invoice you've already built out. And you can allow discounts if there's discount codes out there that you have set up, and you can establish which payment plan is automatically going to be applied to this proposal, so you don't actually even have to select a payment plan when you create an invoice. We'll talk about public proposal options in a minute, and then you can always select an expiration date if you want to. Some people like to do this on proposals. It's not something that I do in my business, but totally great option if you want. So this is the first type of proposal, which is you build out the invoice manually, and then you just have these invoice items and invoice total listed on the proposal. And then when you click include invoice, they can't really make any changes to the invoice on this proposal, but the invoice is already built out manually by you. So they will see that on that third tab and they'll be able to pay it ready to go. So what if you want them to be able to select what packages they want? Let's dive into a different proposal type. Okay, so I'm gonna use an invitation custom proposal as the option for this. And this is a little bit older. This is something that I tried at the beginning and I didn't feel it worked great for a lot of my clients because when it comes to invitations, the quantities can be confusing. So I had sometimes people selecting like 100 gold foil upgrades and their invoice would be like $16,000. And that was not super clear for them. And there's so many different types of embellishments. I also offer like a luxury invitation service with my custom design clients. So I like to do a little bit of that work for them. But if you have set packages, you can absolutely do this and have some little add-ons they can select, and it's such a good option if your business works that way. So in this type of proposal, you're going to present your packages and then you're going to allow the client to select everything that they want. So as an example, This one was a design package. It has everything that's included. And when you click on this, I've selected a package. So it has that design package selected, and then it says pre-selected. So I can do no, which would give them an option to select it, or I can do yes. Because they have to include the design package, I pre-selected this. So this is going to be like your basic, no one can get by without this. Maybe it's like 6 hours of photography, and then you can add on 2 additional hours if you want. Or maybe you don't have something pre-selected. That's okay too. You can set a minimum or maximum quantity here. And then down here, I've selected some additional pieces. So when you add a block, it's going to be a package block. And then when you click into it, you'll be able to select any of your existing packages. So this one that I selected is my 5x7 invite and envelope. So let's try and find that one. It's kind of an old one. Yeah, 5x7 invite and envelope. And then they have the option to select that or not. But what they need is actually going to be more than one of these for me. So what you can see here is we've got the smart fields, package name, package total, and then you can go through to add several other smart fields. So that's quantity, and then I'm going to just type in the word quantity there so that they know what to put in that box. And then you can edit this however you want. So you can like bold things, you can change the font, you can change the alignment, as you see I've done here. Just give them all these different options. And up here, I've included another smart field, which is our package description. Package name and description. We can get rid of package name in that case because we have both. And then you can see here it fills in that description. So 5x7 invite, envelope, and then it includes all the other description pieces. I'm just going to delete this so you can see. So here they would be able to select 100 of these, 100 RSVP card plus envelope, and then if they need an insert card, they could select 100 there as well. And as they're selecting these things, the invoice is actually building out. So you definitely want on this type of proposal to include an invoice here because it's going to automatically build out for them, including this package that's already pre-selected and then anything they select in these other options. What I kind of tried to do was make it so they had to select like one of each of these options. So for addressing, they had to select calligraphy, printing, or they had to waive this, which is a $0 package. And that just made it clear to them, you know, you have to select one of these options. And if you want no addressing, you just have to agree to that. So you know you're not getting any addressing. Same thing with return address, but then we added the return address stamp. So you can see how this is already getting like a little bit confusing, but if your packages are like package A, B, C, and then maybe you could add on like a wax seal or a return address stamp or like one or two things at the end, it could be a lot easier. So I eventually abandoned this. I think there are ways to make it a little simpler. I also think there are ways to use it for a lot of different businesses. I just think for custom invitations, it's not going to be the most amazing option. But I just want to show you the possibilities here. So we have like our foil upgrade, double thick paper upgrade. We have a bunch of other different upgrades here. And then we have a couple tiny things here like shipping's not included. And then once approved, any changes to our prints will incur additional costs. So just another reminder, they're going to have to proofread all their proofs. So we add this to a client's job and open it up. What you'll see is there's not really anything on the invoice. And if we go back to the proposal, all we have pre-selected is this $300. So then down at the bottom, we'll see our total is $322. That's just the $300 plus the tax on that. And then we can go in and select other things. So say I need 100 invites and envelopes and 100 RSVP cards, and then I need like 40 insert cards. I'm going to waive envelope addressing and also waive return addressing, but I really like envelope liners, so I want to do 100 of those. And then maybe I'll do a foil upgrade. You only have to select one of these. That's a part that was kind of confusing to my clients, but wouldn't be as confusing if you didn't have that kind of issue. And then let's see, I'll add some belly bands just for fun. And as you can see, our invoice total is just continuing to go up. There will be a submit button here if I were on my client view. And then once they submitted that, when you did go over the invoice, you would see all of those different items here. I'm not able to submit it because I am not looking at this as the client, but you'll be able to see that full $1,500 invoice, pay it based on whatever payment plan you selected, fill out the contract, and everything would be fully done. So I think you can see, like, if this was just A, B, C package, how easy it would be to put together, send in, and then what you'll get is just notifications. Hey, this person filled out your form. They filled out the contract. They filled out the invoice. They made their 50% payment, and they've done all of those steps all in one, just from you adding this form to their account. So basically all that would take is you going in here, typing in the name of the proposal, clicking add, and then sending it directly to them. And then all of a sudden you'll get like contract filled out, proposal submitted, invoice paid, client is booked. All you had to do was add that form here into their job. So anyway, we did so much setup to get to this point. We set up the job, we set up the lead capture to get their information into Dubsado in the first place. We set up the contract, we made the proposal, we maybe did or did not create the invoice. We've done a lot of different things, but as you can see, once you get all of these things created, all you have to do is like add that form into their job. They can select everything that they want, potentially with some nice upgrades without you even having to ask them, get through the contract, book their project, and pay their retainer right there. So these proposals can get really powerful, and the more that you send them, like I created all this stuff many, many years ago. So whenever I send these things, it's basically not feeling like it took me an hour's worth of work, which I know is what's going to take you the first time, but it's going to take me like 3 seconds. And I'm super grateful for all that time I invested many, many years ago to create all of this information in Dubsado. There's going to be a million different ways that you can set this up in your Dubsado account, but what I would recommend doing is laying out all of your packages, seeing which things are always bought together, seeing which things can be packaged up into one package, seeing which things need to be add-ons that you can do alone, seeing if there's any mix and matching with this packaging, and then kind of questioning whether you want to do some of that invoice building for them with their proposals, or if you want them to be able to fully select all the options. If you have a more complex band of services like I do, then I think you might want to do some of that building yourself, or just really simplify the process a little bit. I think there are ways to make that type of proposal work even as an invitation designer, but if you are doing a lot of really super customized stuff, it's going to be easier for you to kind of build some of that out on the back end, especially using packages. It'll take 2 or 3 clicks to add everything in, and then you can go ahead and send one of those proposals that just uses smart fields to pull the existing invoice, or if you have a business that works better for set packages, you can go ahead and put those on a beautiful proposal, and people will be able to fill it out themselves really easily. So here's the sample one that's automatically going to be in your account, and basically this is like sample package A, B, 1, 2, 3. Super easy to select one of the two. We've got some additional add-ons that are optional, and then we've got some questions that you can use just to get more information, file uploader if they want to send design inspiration, all kinds of stuff. So you can see how this can be really simple. That's called the package selection proposal, and then quote-like proposal is the one that I kind of use where I'm going to build out the invoice as is. So you'll see these are already basically built in as sample proposals that you can use in your form templates. Quick little interlude because I want to show you the template library and what you can actually do with these forms. I did show you how to add a container, how to change the color of it, but I want to give you some inspiration because my forms were built even before you could do some of those things, and they're simple and they work and I love them. But some people have become really creative with their forms, and it can really spark some imagination of the possibilities here. So how you get to this is, of course, we go into templates and forms, and then you're going to click on the template library up here. And there's a lot of different types that you can search for: questionnaire, contract proposals, and subcontracts. And I just want to show you a couple to give you an idea of what you can really do here. So for instance, this is a client onboarding form, and you can go in here and just add these templates, copy to account, and it will copy it directly to your account. Then you'll be able to put in your own pictures, your own colors, edit the text. This is so beautiful. Like, just some of these really simple things, like adding some of these images and these colored spacers, can make it look so branded and unique. And one of my other favorite forms that I think gives you such a fun idea of things to do is this social media coach proposal. You don't have to make it as bright and crazy as this, but I love bright and crazy. So this is really fun. This is like a GIF that you can upload in here. I have a video actually on how to make GIFs if you've never done that before and you want to make some branded ones. Here are some images and just some ideas of how fun and creative you can be with these forms. All of these are built with just the container features that are here in Dubsado for you. And then you can have like your packages, maybe some upgrades, add-ons, various things here. So I think this gives you just so many ideas. I love this. And since we are graphic designers, we have the ability to create some of these like images that are going to be really helpful to us. And you can see how they used custom fonts. They put in a GIF or a video here. And there's a lot of other information from Kate, who created this proposal. You can just copy this directly to your account, replace the images and packages, and it will be ready to go. Or you can use this as inspiration for your forms and how creative and beautiful they can be. I just wanted to show you that because I know my forms in comparison to these are so boring, and the key is they work and they make things easier on me, and they're very professional looking, even though they're a little bit boring. But this inspiration in the template library can really get your mind going for a lot of different things. And you can search different professions, different styles, and you can just add all of these directly into your portal. So now that they have signed their proposal, they've signed their contract, they've paid the invoice, how do you keep the project moving as you complete the work? I'm going to go into some of the other things we use, starting with canned emails in the next video.